Good morning. Welcome to our 8th Psychology Studies Student Conference 2022. We would like to thank everyone here at this conference for your prompt arrival and patience this Friday morning. I'm Erica, and I'll be your MC for today. Since its inaugural launch in 2014, the Psychology Studies Student Conference is an annual showcase of our Year 3 students' final year projects, where we try to solve real-world problems using knowledge and skills in the domain of psychological sciences that we have been trained in. These real-world problems are typically provided to us by our external industry partners and sometimes from internal partners within Temasek Polytechnic. Other than showcasing how the outcomes of our projects may have real-world impact to our industry guests, TP lecturers from other schools and departments, and our alumni, we also hope to inspire the current Year 1 and 2 psychology students who are attending this conference that, in the near future, it will be your turn to be involved in similar projects like the ones showcased today. Before we start today's presentations, let me introduce Mr. Eric Koh, the Deputy Director of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, to give us his opening address. We are truly honored to have you here with us today, and we hope you'll enjoy this conference. Mr. Eric Koh, please.
Thank you, Erica. A very good morning to our keynote speaker, Ms. Christine Wong, Executive Director, Caritas Singapore, and our valued industry partners, my fellow colleagues, alumni, and students. A very warm welcome to everyone. Today marks the 8th year that the School of Humanities and Social Sciences is hosting the Psychology Studies Student Conference, and we are so happy that you can join us. This year, we're pleased to host our second online version of this conference. Although we would have loved to hold this conference face-to-face, but we remain confident that students and guests alike will find relevant takeaways from today's online session. Since the Diploma in Psychology Studies admitted its first cohort of students back in 2008, we have always worked closely with industry partners on research and internship. Now, with the Center of Applied Behavioural and Social Sciences, or CAPS for short, set up in January 2020, the Center has facilitated even more extensive industry collaborations with new and existing partners. Today, I'm happy to say that most of the projects we see are in collaboration with an industry partner, and we're delighted to highlight and showcase these projects. To give everybody a sneak preview of what is in store today, our Psychology Studies Interest Group President, Charlene, will briefly summarize the various projects the final year students have undertaken. And after the summary, our current final year students will be presenting their projects live in the breakout rooms. Now, there are 3 presentation tracks: social services and special needs, behavioral insights, and applied psychology. Now, these projects highlight 2 key strengths of the Diploma in Psychology Studies. The first strength is the diploma's broad-based curriculum, which exposes students to a wide variety of applications of psychology. Now, the second strength is its strong focus on applied research, which is evident in executing these projects with meaningful real-world applications and impact. Now, I want to thank all our industry partners for allowing our students to work on real-life research projects with real-world applications. This relationship is crucial as we strive to produce capable graduates with the knowledge and skills relevant to meeting industry needs. We look forward to many more fruitful partnerships with you and forging new ones with our industry partners here today. Now, I want to thank our panelists for taking time also to be with us today. Ms. Adele Tay from Pumpkin Lab National Council of Social Service, and Ms. Alice Lee from the Environmental, Behavioural Sciences and Economics Research Unit from the Ministry of Sustainability and Environment. They will be sharing their experiences on projects collaborations with our students. Once again, our thanks to Ms. Christine Wong for delivering the keynote address. And a very big thank you to our panelists and valued industry partners, students, for making this conference possible. And finally, to our students. Today we see the completion of the months of hard work and the presentation of the results. We are proud of the effort put in and the excellent results. I wish you all the best. So to all, we wish you all an enjoyable time at this conference. I'll now hand the time over to Erica again, our lovely MC, for the next segment of the conference. So thank you and enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Eric Koh. We are extremely grateful for this opportunity, and we hope that you and the other guests will also enjoy this conference. As all of you would already know, we are honored to have with us today our keynote speaker, Ms. Christine Wong. Before I invite her on screen, I would like to give a short introduction of Ms. Christine Wong. Ms. Christine Wong has been the Executive Director of Caritas Singapore since August 2018 and is currently a member of the School Advisory Committee for HSS. She was also the former Executive Director of the Samaritans of Singapore and has worked closely with many agencies in the area of suicide prevention. Ms. Christine Wong has also served in the local social service sector for more than 30 years. An accredited social worker, she is a member of the Singapore Association of Social Workers, American Association of Suicidology, and is a certified crisis worker. Ms. Christine Wong is also a member of the research workgroup of International Association of Suicide Prevention and worked with her team to publish 2 international research papers. Her passion and expertise in social work are not only recognized locally, but also internationally. She was invited as a speaker in the US, Japan, UK, Sri Lanka, and at Thailand's annual mental health conferences from 2015 to 2017. May we now invite Ms. Christine Wong to give us her keynote address. Ms. Christine Wong, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, a very good morning to everyone, and thanks, Erica, for the introduction. I want to thank Eric for inviting me to be the keynote speaker, and really a warm welcome to everyone who is here today, all the industry partners, HSS members, staff of Temasek Poly, and all the students. I'm really very pleased to be here this morning to share with you some insights that I have gathered over the years in the social service sector. So once again, I just want to say a few words of congratulations to all the students. I'm always excited when people take up psychology or social work because these are the areas that is really much needed in the world today, especially in the helping profession. So once again, I'm so excited that students actually collaborated with so many industry partners, and I'm also excited to be able to join the sessions later. So I just want to add a few words that with the pandemic over the last couple of years, we have learned a very important lesson that no man is an island. And that's why I'm so excited to know that the students are collaborating with so many industry partners so that we can enrich and help one another in the learning journey. So once again, I think the conference would be a launching pad for many of us, not just the students, so that we are able to pick up certain insights into the work that you actually collaborated with the partners. And I'm very confident with the conference, the students would be able to apply the skills that they have learned and actually know that it can be applicable in the working sector, in the fields that they have learned. And I think I just want to leave a few tips, to the students and also, when they graduate so that they are able to have some insights as to what is very important. I think one of the most important tip is that for me and each one of you, please find yourself a mentor, because a mentor is very important regardless of who the mentor is. It can be your former lecturer, or even someone that you would be working with later on, because a mentor is very beneficial. They will be able to provide the guidance and support in your professional development. And not only that, they will enrich your personal life. And that is a testimony, because I still have my mentor with me. And I'm very fortunate. Over 30 years, my mentor remains the same. And he's still guiding me, regardless of my experience in the field. The second most important thing is that we must work together. Always remember this, because when we work together, there are a lot of insights that we can learn from one another, and from the various experiences, we are able to pool our resources together, and the results will be very different. So I again would like to emphasize this point, that we need to work together, because all of us have different strengths, and we are able to enrich the projects or whatever we are doing, in whatever field we would be entering into. The other thing I always want to say is that always learn to be a good listener, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because questioning doesn't mean that it's not a good thing, but questioning means that we are eager to learn, we want to know more. So you know it's good to always ask questions, so that we are able to gain better insights. So the third thing I would like to share is that whatever you are doing, always be enthusiastic, adaptable, and of course always be humble. Regardless of how many years we have in our field, there is always more to learn. And I think in this world right now, it's so fast evolving that whatever we have learned today may be very different tomorrow. So please open your mind to lifelong learning. I think recently Mr. Chan Chun Sing, our Minister for Education, also mentioned that the universities have to also not just cater to students who would go in and get a degree, but also for many of us, although we have our degree many years ago, we also have to realize that changes are within the world, and we have to continuously learn. Last but not least, I would like to emphasize the point that what is most important is, whatever occupation or jobs that you are looking out for, always remember that it must be something that you are interested in, something that gives you joy. And because this is important, that when you are doing your work, it must be something that can energize you and motivate you. Can you imagine if you go to work every day and you do not find joy in it? I'm sure you understand that that would be something that is really difficult, because we want to wake up energized and be happy to go to work. So I think this is very important. But last but not least, I always talk about self-care. In whatever occupation we are in, if we do not take care of ourselves, we will not be able to contribute much more. And when it's time to take a break, please do. And when you feel recharged, you are able to really be a very good contributor to whatever you are doing, and you will find success. So I just want to leave you with one quotation, which I always use when I feel a bit, um, that the work is challenging and I need some inspiration. So I just want to leave you with this quote from Saint Teresa of Calcutta. She said, "Not all of us can do great things, but all of us can do small things with great love." So I just want to wish every student here that may you, in your journey, in your life, with your families, friends, and others in society, continue to do small things with great love, and you will find that there is joy in whatever you will be doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inspiring us, Ms. Christine Wong. Indeed, no man is an island, and we are very thankful for this experience. I'm sure many of you are excited about the research projects that will be presented today. But first, I would like to invite Charlene, my fellow Year 3, who is also the current president of our Psychology Studies Interest Group, to give everyone here an overview of all the students' projects. Charlene, please.
Thank you, Ms. Christine Wong, for sharing with us valuable insights from your work in Caritas Singapore. Once again, I would like to welcome our distinguished guests, TP staff, and my fellow psychology students to our 8th Psychology Studies Students Conference. I am Charlene, the current president of our Psychology Studies Interest Group. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend this conference. It is my pleasure to share with you more about our diploma and provide you with an overview of the major projects done by our graduating cohort. In our diploma, students are trained to be workforce ready in the social service and special needs education sector in diverse roles. There is also a strong emphasis on training students in research and collaborative projects with external organizations. Most of the projects that will be shared here today are brought in by our school's Research Center for Applied Behavioural and Social Sciences, otherwise known as CAPS. The center focuses on applied research and projects, as well as conducts consultancy and training in behavioural and social sciences domain. In short, it aims to bridge the gaps between theoretical research and field practice by generating evidence-based solutions to real-world problems. The center also serves as a platform to involve our diploma students in real-world projects that sharpens their training in psychology. In the last few years, the projects that students are generally involved in can be categorized into two main types: applied research projects and development and translational projects. The main focus of applied research projects is to understand a particular problem scenario and propose potential solutions based on this understanding. Students involved in these projects will typically collect data and make use of the collected data to either evaluate existing programs or initiatives, or to propose solutions to address an existing problem. For development and translational projects, the main focus is to design and develop solutions for a particular problem scenario. Students conducting these projects will have to utilize their domain knowledge in psychology and training in qualitative research to develop evidence-informed resources such as community programs, training toolkits, or outreach and educational workshops for various partners in the social survey sector. Now that we understand the nature of different projects, I will now be sharing projects done by our graduating cohort. The projects done this year fell into 3 main domains, which corresponds to the 3 breakout tracks we have for our breakout session. They are social surveys and special needs, behavioral insights, and applied psychology. Let's start with social surveys and special needs. The current project is a continuation project with RIDGE, and our students develop mental health resources for SPED teachers to better identify when their students experience mental distress. The next project is in collaboration with AWA, where students conducted a needs analysis on caregivers of children with high support needs and generate solutions to better support them through translational phases. The next project collaborated with St. Luke's Eldercare, where our students develop a cognitive training toolkit to support the cognitive engagement of St. Luke's dementia clients. The next project is a continuation project that collaborated with NCSS to evaluate the effectiveness of the We Care toolkit and propose future directions for it. The next project is in collaboration with Clarity Singapore to evaluate the effectiveness of Clarity's Bloom program and suggest ways to further improve it. I will now cover projects related to BI. This project is in collaboration with HPB to better understand factors influencing health screening behaviors in order to improve SFL program participation. The next project collaborated with Green Nudge, where our students gained insight into the volunteering ecosystem and proposed BI interventions that could improve volunteer recruitment and retention. This is an internal project to better understand TP students' career planning progress and propose solutions that allow students to make more optimal post-graduation decisions. The next project is in collaboration with NSE to explore different factors contributing to smoking behaviors. Based on these findings, students generated BI solutions to nudge smokers to the DSPs. And lastly, I will cover applied psychology projects. This project collaborated with Focus on the Family Singapore, where students explored the effects of familial bonds on youth resilience and well-being, and proposed insights to improve the existing programs by Focus Singapore. The next project is presented to URA and explored how the built environment affects mental well-being. Proposed solutions aim to promote mental well-being. The next project is done in collaboration with NHG and Touch Community Services, where students develop materials for ITE students that could instill a grit and growth mindset in them. The next project collaborated with Apex Harmony Lodge to identify gaps in the provision of quality care for persons with dementia and bridge these gaps through the installation of smart technologies. And with that, I've come to the end of the overview of projects done in the current academic year. To find out more about the projects, please look forward to the breakout session later, where our students will be sharing more about their individual projects in detail. Do feel free to ask them questions if you have any. Our students will try to address your questions as best as they can during the Q&A segment at the end of their presentation. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. I will now hand the time back to Erica.
Thank you, Charlene. I'm sure all of you are looking forward to know more about the projects that Charlene has mentioned. A detailed write-up of our projects can be found in the e-publication for this conference, which is now available for download on our website. Kindly refer to the description box below for the link. Do also take note of the following instructions to have a smooth navigation to our breakout rooms. Shortly after, your screen will display 3 QR codes. You will have an option to choose one of the 3 project tracks mentioned. They are Social Service and Special Needs, Behavioural Insights, and Applied Psychology. Do use your phones and scan the QR codes below, displayed on the screen, or click on the links in the description box below. Once the sessions have ended, kindly return to this YouTube live channel to join us in our exciting panel discussion. Without further ado, let us commence our breakout room sessions. See you soon. Welcome back. We hope that you've enjoyed listening to our detailed project presentations. Now, we'll be moving into our final segment of our program, the panel discussion. In this segment, our discussion panelists will be sharing about their organizations and how students have benefited from their collaborations. Without further ado, may I invite Timothy, who will be moderating the panel discussion. Timothy, please.
Thanks, Erica. So a great afternoon to everyone. I'm Timothy, the moderator for today's panelist session. So thanks everyone for taking the time to join us today for this 30 minutes panelist session where the speakers will be sharing their experiences working with our students as well as much more. So do keep in mind that we will be open for 5 minutes Q&A after the session. So do type in questions that you may have in chat. So without further ado, let's begin. Firstly, I would like to introduce everyone to Miss Alice Lee.
I'm Alice.
Hi, Alice. Thanks for being here today. So Miss Alice is a Senior Assistant Director at the Environmental Behavioural Sciences and Economics Research Unit at the Ministry of Sustainability and Environment, or MSE for short. So the diploma has been collaborating extensively with MSE since 2018 on various projects focusing on behavioral insights intervention that regarding sustainability efforts. So next we have Miss Adele Tay. Hello. So Ms. Adele is a senior manager at Pumpkin Lab at the National Council of Social Service, NCSS. So the diploma and Pumpkin Lab has collaborated on various projects since 2019, which center on the evaluation of the WeCare Toolkit, as well as having students come up with solutions to improve it. So a very big thank you to the both of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to speak in our panel session today. Yes. Okay, so let's start with just the first question. Yeah, so maybe you could introduce yourself in depth and what your role is in the organization and what your organization actually does. So maybe Alice, you would like to start first?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Alice from MSE's Environmental Behavioural Sciences and Economics Research Unit, or Behavioural for short. Yeah, so what we do is we apply different specialized capabilities in behavioral insights, data analytics, and economics research to inform the design of environmental policies and initiatives. So we work very closely with our stakeholders, which include other government agencies or even external organizations like Temasek Poly, to inform the design, implementation of and evaluation of our environmental policies and initiatives through evidence-based research. So for example, we will study a behavioral problem, we try to understand what are factors influencing the behavior, then we design intervention to address it, and then we have to evaluate the effectiveness of the intervention. So we can actually be approached by different MSE family agencies, including NE, PUB, and SFA, and anyone outside our MSE family who share our policy interests in environmental issues to provide behavioral consultancy guidance in these areas. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting. So a lot of extensive collaborations with many different organizations.
Yes.
So, I see. Okay, thanks for introducing. Maybe Adele, you would like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Adele from the Pumpkin Lab in NCSS, National Council of Social Service. So just if in case you're wondering why my team is called the Pumpkin Lab, actually we have quite a lot of reasons of why people think it's called Pumpkin Lab. So actually one of the most interesting reasons that we've heard is that the pumpkin has the highest fruit to seed ratio. I think that was someone that from Temasek Poly actually. I think Bapiao or someone said it to us. And we were like, oh, we didn't know that. Like, that's quite interesting way to see it. But actually the real meaning or the real background to our team's name is much more frivolous. So actually it came from the Cinderella story. So actually the main reason why we chose pumpkin is because, you know, in the story of Cinderella, the pumpkin transforms into a carriage. So our main goal or our main aim in our team is to innovate or to transform the social service sector using, you know, different ways of innovation, new ways of working. So we do this through various ways. So one of them is like capability building, encouraging the use of design thinking, person-centered participatory approaches to develop new and innovative solutions to support, you know, our service users and to improve their quality of life. So just to give an example of something that we have done the last few years. So we did this design ethnography study on caregivers with complex needs. So basically the caregivers that we video shadowed and interviewed over a period of a few months were caregivers that had maybe they were caring for more than one person, or they were caring for a person with multiple issues. So maybe a person with disability and a person with mental health issues. So what we did was we actually, went to find out, what their needs, what are the gaps, how are the ways that we can better support them in their journey of caregiving. We actually did videos as well to showcase, their lives as caregivers. So all of these insights were then translated into a publication that we shared with our stakeholders. And one of the things that came out from there was also the We Care Toolkit. So I'll share a bit more about that later in terms of the work that TP students did for us in that area. Yeah, so this is just an example of the stuff that we're doing at work. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, that's really impressive. There's a lot of things that Pumpkin Lab has achieved, and it's cool to know that Wapel may have played a tiny part in the name creation of your organization. Okay, so you mentioned the We Care Toolkit, right? So, okay, how has our students' work through our final year projects have been helpful to what Pumpkin Lab actually does?
Yeah, so like I shared earlier, based on the insights that we gathered from the design ethnography study on caregivers, we found that caregivers go through a range of emotions in their journey of caregiving. So there's a lot of ups and downs. There's good and bad, right? There's like difficult times, but also things which are quite hopeful, like joy and hope as well. So what we did was we also developed this toolkit called the We Care Toolkit. Let me just show you what it looks like. So it's basically this book that we have. Inside the book, we have different tools that we want to support social and healthcare professionals to open up conversations with caregivers, to help them to articulate the difficulties that they're facing in their journey of caregiving, and then also help these professionals better support these caregivers along their journey. So we actually collaborated with the TP students on several projects. So because it's quite a large project we wanted to do, we split it into 3 parts. So the first part, we wanted to find out, we've already developed this toolkit and a few agencies were already using it. So we wanted to find out how the current usage was like, what attitudes towards the toolkit that the social and healthcare professionals had, and also to develop a tool as well to evaluate the effectiveness of this toolkit. So that was what the first group of students did for us in the first year. So this was in 2019. Then the second project, so this was in 2020. This was the peak of COVID. So unfortunately, the students were not able to do field work on the ground. So what they did was they actually focused on developing a revised toolkit based on the ideas and solutions that came up from the first study. So they actually took on, analyzing the results and the insights that they gained from the first evaluation based on interviews that they did with the caregivers as well as the professionals. And then the students came up with a new or revised toolkit using, different behavioral insights tools like the Bloom taxonomy and EAST framework. So this were considered in the design and the revision of the materials and the collaterals. Then they also actually developed a orientation kind of resources for us to actually share with other people. So something that we could go out and market this toolkit with other agencies who might be interested to take on this We Care Toolkit in the future. So that was the second team. And then the third team recently that they just concluded, they actually shared earlier in the presentation. It was actually on a more comprehensive program evaluation of the We Care Toolkit. So after the last 2 years of trying out and testing this toolkit with various agencies, wanted to find out and to assess the effectiveness of the toolkit in supporting the work of the social service professionals with the caregivers. So that was the third one that they did. I think there will still be ongoing collaborations with TV for sure, because I think that all the projects were really useful. We also have to inform not just my team, but also our senior management and other stakeholders that we work with, on what is the effectiveness of this toolkit? Why should they use it? What are the areas to improve moving forward?
Yes.
We shared these results with our senior management, our bosses, and other partners as well to get buy-in and support, to get more agencies to adopt and also use this toolkit to support their caregivers, to ensure that they have a better quality of life moving forward.
Okay. Yeah. So for those who don't know, I'm one of the student researchers for the third project with Pumpkin Lab. So yeah, it was a really fun project to work with. Yeah, and it was great collaborating with Pumpkin Lab as well, and some meaningful project. Yeah, and I would love to know more about Miss Alice and your organization and the projects that you have done with the students. Maybe you could share more.
Yeah, so as you earlier mentioned, we have actually collaborated with TP students on a few projects since 2018. So for example, we have worked with the students to better understand what are factors influencing household e-waste recycling. So the study actually helped us with many useful design location considerations for the e-waste collection points that you see today around Singapore. So for example, we better understood the need to standardize the design for the e-waste bins and to really put it in more convenient locations, for example, outside supermarkets and even within major electronic stores. We have also worked with Temasek Poly and many other studies. So for example, we have conducted interviews with some Tampines residents of our estate to assess the effectiveness of these ecobots, which are these physical digital blocks, which provide block level energy and water consumption. To see whether we can actually, these ecobots are actually useful in helping the households to reduce their energy and consumption level, energy and water consumption level. We also sought ways to nudge smokers to use new designated smoking points in Clementi. I think this was one of the presentations earlier. Some of you, the breakout rooms, will have heard about it. Yeah, so actually these collaborations with Temasek Poly have really been quite useful to help us explore to further really stretch the use of social science to address sustainability and livability issues. These issues are often very, very complex and very multifaceted. So all these projects with us help us to actually test our ideas or more creative ideas in more controlled environments. And to really assess where are the opportunities for us to scale up these interventions at larger or more public amenities. So we are very grateful to your students so far for all the useful takeaways from these studies. Yeah.
Oh, that's great to hear. I'm glad our students have benefited. Okay. Yeah. So, is there any interesting incidents or stories that Alice you have encountered with our students before?
So generally, I've always been very pleasantly surprised by the creativity of the students when they share with us, or they send us their proposed study methodologies and what are the interventions for every project. I guess one particularly memorable project for me was maybe our collaboration on the ethnographic study to understand what are the factors affecting the adoption of these proper e-waste recycling channels. So, for example, to understand what's the extent of e-waste clutter in households, for example, we have all these electronic cables lying around. We want to understand what's the extent of the problem out there. These students actually persuaded the households to literally lay out all their electronic items in the house, and they painstakingly label each one of them. Well, this sounds very daunting, but actually it gave us a very, very good picture of what are the types of electronic items that households have in their house that can actually be recycled but are not be put to good use. So actually, this is just for me. It's a very good example of qualities of good social researchers. In that the students were open, curious. You must be. You must really show commitment to the research problem that you're investigating. Yeah, so for me, this was the particularly interesting project.
I see. Okay. So, how about Adele? Do you have any interesting stories or?
Not particularly. I think overall the students have been all very, in terms of their, when you said methodology and all that, Alice mentioned, right? I think it has been, like they are very conscientious in working with us. They have, come up with really good proposals. So nothing particularly comes to mind, but I think it's been really good experience so far working with the students, all three teams that we worked with.
Okay, good. Good to know there's no bad experiences working with our students. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. So I would like to pose this to Adele. Do you have any advice for year 3 students that are graduating soon, especially in their further studies or looking for jobs? Because I understand that yours is towards a social service agency, even though you're not really on the front line, but you could definitely share more.
Yeah, sure. So coming from National Council of Social Service, I think there's a huge diverse range of professions available in the sector. So coming in all the way from like corporate services that looks more into ensuring services are run effectively, efficiently, to engagement and fundraising, program management, to even more direct work like counseling, therapists, educators and so on. So just to sell a bit of NCSS a bit. So at NCSS, we have this initiative called the Social Service Tribe, TRIBE. So basically, it's a platform for everyone who currently works in the social service ecosystem or is interested to do so. You can go on there, and it's made up of over 15,000 professionals and over 450 agencies in Singapore, serving various areas. So it could be, disability, mental health, seniors, children with special needs. So if you go on the website, you just Google it, Social Service Tribe. You can find various career opportunities there. So whether you're studying or recently graduated, there's also this tribe experience for students. So what it is that you can explore ways to experience how it's like working in the social service sector. So before you have graduated. So this can be through, career dialogues, learning journeys, internships. So definitely go on there and check it out. The website is online. The other thing is, I think, to highlight, I think really be involved in the final project that is aligned with your interests. So I think when I was in university, I didn't have the opportunity to do this like an actual real life project for my FYP. But I think it's a really great way for students to get involved in something that you might be interested to do in the future. And it's also not just like, an academic exercise like you've all mentioned. It's really something that the outcomes and deliverables will be something that we can use and have real world impact. So yeah, hopefully all the final year students are excited going to a final year to work on these real life projects with industry partners. So yeah, definitely be excited, get involved in something and start exploring.
Yeah. Well, that's really great advice, especially for the website. I didn't know that actually existed. So yeah, I'm definitely going on and go through all the different social services and all the work that they actually offer. Yeah, so major project can seem daunting to a lot of our juniors lah. Yeah, but it's a really good experience, like Adele has already mentioned, and you should really give 100% to it. And you see that all the experiences and knowledge that you accumulated really comes beneficial for you. Yeah. So for Alice, you are more towards the applied psychology, like behavior insights. From what I heard. So do you have any advice for any year 3 students who are graduating soon?
Yeah, so generally, I feel like the skills that you learn in psychology studies are actually applicable to many roles. You don't have to confine yourself to the social service sector, for example, because you have already developed like good research and writing skills. You can solve problems, you can analyze and synthesize information. So all these are very applicable to a few sectors, like for example, HR, education, advertising and marketing, UX design, media. And actually within the government, right, there are many behavioral insights units across the government. So for example, MSE, where I come from, NEA, MHA, MOM, MAS, IRAS, MOH, they all have behavioral insights units. There are also openings for professional psychologists across the government. So you might also want to check out whether you require further studies to take part in those. But for my team, for Ibeiro specifically, from time to time, we do have industry openings for behavioral researchers like yourselves. So what our interns have done so far is they actually help us to investigate a behavioral issue based on a problem statement that we give them, and they will come up with recommended interventions to address it after they have done all the ethnographic studies to investigate the issue. So nothing too different from what you've already done. At the moment, we don't have any openings, but you can keep a lookout for all these behavioral insights internships in the government via the Careers at Gov portal website. Yeah. I guess lastly, just don't be afraid to do something different from what you learn in school. More importantly, you should stay up to date with current affairs and trends and what are the current skills that employers are looking out for. And never be afraid to just stop learning and being curious about, other areas outside psychology as well. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
Well said, well said. Yeah. So both of you expressed interest, not really expressed interest, but both of you expressed that there will be future collaborations. And I'm sure that we have a lot of juniors right now in this live stream, and they're interested in knowing what collaborations are there, what other projects. So maybe at least you can share a bit about it.
Yeah, so for MSE, we are actually constantly looking out for problem statements related to sustainability issues or livability issues that can be addressed by social science research. So just to share, this year, we're actually working together with the psychology studies course again to scope a project to use this concept of self-nudging to see whether we can encourage youths to become eco-ambassadors in their everyday lives, to encourage their fellow peers or household members to be more eco-friendly. Yeah, and generally we welcome suggestions from the students if they have ideas to collaborate with us in future. Especially on projects towards achieving our green plan targets. I'm not sure if you've heard of the green plan, but maybe you can read up about it. Yeah.
I see. Okay. How about Adele? What is there any future collaborations that Pumpkin Lab wishes to do with our psychology students, especially our juniors who will be going to do their major project in 1 and 2 years?
Yeah, so on top of the WeCare toolkit that we are the ongoing collaboration, we also recently in the last few years, my team has organized several design challenges. So this is that we actually participants through the whole design thinking process. So there's different workshops that they go through to come up with a solution to address certain needs in the community. So this could range from mental health to disability to persons with special needs. So what we do is that we after bringing them through this process, we actually give this team seed grants to pilot their solutions on the ground. But many times we find that after the challenge, the teams might not be able to fully delve into the implementation of the project because most of them have full-time jobs as well. So I was just thinking off the top of my head, like whether potential collaboration could be if the students are interested to come on board to help conceptualize this idea further to develop a means to evaluate it, and then actually to do some sort of groundwork to understand the needs better, to pilot the solutions, and then to evaluate it as part of their project. So it might be quite a longer process, so maybe cut into different pieces. But yeah, it's something that I think might be useful, and definitely it's a real life project. It's something that's new as well as innovative, a new solution. So yeah, that's maybe something that maybe of interest to the students in next year.
Okay. Oh, okay. So there are a lot of future collaborations that our juniors can really look forward to. Okay. I'm also excited, but too bad. I'm graduating. Yeah. So we still have a bit of time left before our Q&A session. So maybe I will just ask a bit of personal questions. I hope that's all right with Miss Alice and Miss Adele. So one question I'd like to ask for Alice is that your organization is focused on sustainability efforts and behavior insight. So may I ask why you're interested in sustainability efforts, why you're passionate about this area of this field of work?
Oh, okay. Okay, so I must think back in time when I first joined MSE in 2018. I think at that time, I guess sustainability was still not as hot an issue. Yeah, but I've always been interested in sustainability issues. Like I've read out about issues about climate change and things like that. And I also at the same time observed around me that people were they were really not caring about all these issues. So when I talk to them about climate change, it's seen as a bit strange. I guess for now, climate change is becoming more and more of a pertinent issue, right? And I'm so glad to see that the government has rolled out this green plan, and more students and youths are getting more interested in such issues. And I think this is a good shift in general. Yeah, I don't regret joining this field. The use of behavioral insights and environmental issues, I feel that it's not very, I guess, not very intuitive to most people. But if you think about it, a lot of environmental issues at the core of it is related to human activities and behaviors, right? Every day, the things that you consume, all these have a downstream effect on climate change. The electricity, the water that you use, the things that you buy, the products, the packaging that products come from, all these are really interrelated. So to me, all these issues are very complex and very interesting to actually dive deeper into it. Yeah, so this is just some of the reasons why I like this field.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's nice to hear. very passionate about the field. I really hope that there are youths out there, especially our graduating students as well as our juniors, that are interested in sustainability efforts as you, who are passionate about climate change, about the earth, and want to use their knowledge on psychology to actually play a part in Singapore's climate. Okay, so now we've come to the Q&A session. If you have any questions at all, you can just type in chat, and we'll just spend the next 5 minutes and we'll go through it with our speaker. So don't be hesitant, don't be afraid. Our speakers will be very glad to answer the questions. So while we're waiting for the questions to come in, maybe Adele, you could also share why you were passionate in this particular field of work that you're in. Since Alice managed to share about hers, I would be interested to learn about yours as well.
Sure, no worries. So actually, I started, I guess, like the interest kind of was like growing up, as in like I always enjoyed, volunteering, working with to get to know other people. So I think that kind of started kind of interest in the social service sector. And then I guess after that, it was a bit more of seeing how I could make a difference in someone's life. I think that was something I always wanted to do in my career. So that's how I kind of fell into the social service sector. I think this job, right, is the only job that you kind of want to work yourself out of a job, if you know what I mean. So basically, it's like, you want to not have this job anymore, because then it means that, the ecosystem is being able to support itself, right, and without having to rely on, social services. So I thought that was a really interesting perspective that someone shared about how, we're working hard so that we will not have a job next time. So hopefully, in the near future, my job will be will be irrelevant. And then hopefully the sector can support itself. Better quality of life for everyone in Singapore.
I see. Okay. It sounds so. I also had this the phrase. There was this conversation where I had with one of the counselors, because I also interned with one of the counselors, and he mentioned that as counselors they profit on people's misery. I wouldn't say so. So they would, of course, if in a perfect world. Okay, that's great. Someone asked the question. So right now in education, the buzzword is interdisciplinary. Do the panelists think that the project students do help with this interdisciplinary initiative? I know that Alice, you're combining behavior insights and sustainability efforts, and Adele, you're combining social service with qualitative and statistical analysis. So maybe you could share more on that. Maybe Alice, you could share.
Yeah, so as mentioned, my team actually applies insights from across fields, for example, psychology. We also apply insights from economics, geography, sociology, and so on. So when it comes to behavior, behavior cannot be categorized into different disciplines, right? You cannot say like, oh, this behavior is a geographical behavior. So whenever we approach a problem, we never know what we're gonna get. We try not to have pre-existing biases when we approach a behavioral problem. We try to approach it with open eyes. We don't just approach it with a psychological lens and say, okay, I'm gonna only think about psychological factors influencing this behavior, or I will only ask questions that would sort of elicit psychological concepts so that I can put it in a psychological report, for example. So really, some problems may not even be behavioral in general. Something influencing behavior might actually be infrastructural. So for the government, actually what we do is we really need to go in with an open mind and not have all these pre-existing pre-notions about an issue. We really try to empathize with the situation. When we interview people, we just keep an open mind and interview them. So actually, all the insights that we have gotten from past collaboration so far, I won't say all of them have purely psychological reasons. So for example, just now I mentioned the e-waste collection points. Using a standardized design for e-waste bins is not really a psychological thing. It's more of like an infrastructural issue, right? And where you put this location considerations, I guess you could also explain in terms of how can I create a common schema in terms of where e-waste collection bins tend to be at. But yeah, who's to say that this is a psychological issue only? We can also actually use data when we examine a problem, for example. Yeah, so really, I feel like for environmental issues, there's no clear-cut discipline that can explain certain phenomena that we are seeing. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, maybe Adele, you could just answer this question, and then we'll be the panel session will be completed.
Sure. Yeah, I think I agree with Alice for sure. I think in social service, we're also trying to apply new ways of understanding the needs and all that. So I think design thinking is one of the new ways that we are hoping to develop further. And then also I think from the students' projects, they also implemented the use of behavioral insights to nudge users to use certain interventions, certain programs, to find out why they might not be utilizing certain services that are out there for them. So I think definitely the projects will be able to help with the interdisciplinary initiative. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks everyone for your meaningful question. But unfortunately, we have come to the end of the panel session. So yet again, I would like to thank Ms. Adele and Ms. Alice for being such open and insightful speakers and opening up about some personal questions as well. So thanks everyone for dropping by and listening to our delightful speakers. So we hope that you managed to take away some valuable insights from the professionals in different psychological fields, and as well as learn more about the different major projects offered. So now I'll just pass the time back to Miss Erica, our MC.
Thank you for your wonderful sharing, panelists. They were indeed very insightful, and I'm sure we have all benefited from this discussion. We've now come to the end of our 8th Psychology Studies Student Conference 2022 program. On behalf of everyone here, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to all students, my classmates who have put in months of efforts for this conference, supervisors, and of course, our panelists and guests of honor for gracing us with your presence this afternoon. To Ms. Christine Wong, Ms. Adele Tay, and Ms. Alice Lee, we truly appreciate your sharing today. And to everyone in this conference, thank you for staying with us, and we hope you have enjoyed this year's conference. There will be a QR code that will be flashed on your screen shortly after. Kindly complete the feedback form as we value your feedback. Thank you once again, and see you next year.